Got some bad news for you, Saints fans. Aaron Glenn's interview with the New York Jets is today, and that's information that we've known for actually a little bit of time now. However, it has been reported that the plan is to not let him leave the building without a deal. So this does obviously impact the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to talk about how it directly impacts the Saints. What's the plan moving forward? And can Aaron Glenn actually say no and just come to New Orleans? Well, the answer is yes. We're going to talk about it here in today's show. But really quick reminder, when the New Orleans Saints hire their guy, I'm going live. So be sure to subscribe. And if you haven't already, we're giving you updates daily around the head coaching search. We're also discussing offseason rumors like trades, drafts, free agency, and everything in between. So be sure to subscribe for free Saints coverage. And like I mentioned, a live show the minute the Saints hire their guy. So be sure to lock us in for free Saints content. Alrighty, Rappaport, he was the one who very early in the morning. By the way, Colin, what's the deal with all these AM news breaks like 3:45 in the morning? It's ridiculous. The Saints are just addicted to this right now. But, yeah, Ian Rappaport saying Aaron Glenn visits the Jets and the goal is to keep him from leaving the building. Sources say the deal isn't done and there are still some particulars to discuss. And that's a key factor in this whole situation. The fact that the deal isn't done and there are still things to discuss means the Saints could potentially wedge their way in there if they're able to get an interview with Aaron Glenn, which they're scheduled to have a second interview tomorrow. That has now been delayed because of weather, but obviously the New Orleans Saints are waiting the decision from Aaron Glenn to see if he goes to the New York Jets. And I do think that the Saints should try and get Aaron Glenn as much as they possibly can, because I think Aaron Glenn is the top candidate available in the head coaching cycle right now. And there are some ties to the New York Jets, not just for Aaron Glenn as a player and, being all the obvious ties to the Jets. Lance Newmark, he is interviewing for the Jets general manager job, and he actually was a longtime Lions executive. So the fact that the possible pairing of Lance Newmark and Aaron Glenn with the New York Jets, that's what makes that destination and that job so appealing for Glenn. Connor Hughes, he does a lot of coverage for the Jets on social media. He took this to Twitter, so I wanted to go ahead and break this down piece by piece. Talking to a couple league sources, Lance Newmark is extremely close with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. He was expected to follow Johnson to the Raiders if that were to happen. When Johnson took the Bears gig, though, that opened the path for him to join Aaron Glenn with the Jets. I do believe this could all be wrapped up today. Newmark is a football lifer. Worked in the NFL for 28 years, told he's highly, highly respected across the NFL for the time that he's put in. So what does this mean for the New Orleans Saints? Well, Aaron Glenn could be putting pen to paper today, which means the Saints might have to pivot and go to another option. And I think that the top options outside of Aaron Glenn for the New Orleans Saints specifically are Joe Brady and Mike McCarthy. And you may not like that idea. You may not love the possibility of Mike McCarthy, but I'm here to tell you that's a very realistic option. And it's honestly the most likely option, in my opinion. So get down in the comments section. Pick a head coach for me. If you'd rather have Aaron Glenn, just give me an AG. If you like Joe Brady, give me a JB. And if you like Mike McCarthy, the guy who looks like an M&M, type MM. Really quick, I'm going to talk about more around Aaron Glenn and more around the Saints head coaching search here in just a second. But stand by. I got to tell you about this awesome new sponsor. And it's honestly not even a new sponsor. It's one we've had around for a while, but they just came back to Saints Now by Chat Sports. I couldn't be happier. It's Public Rec. One of my favorite ways to upgrade my wardrobe was just shopping down Public Rec over the holiday season. I'm telling you what, if you hadn't shopped during the holiday season, you're missing out. And let's be real, guys. Wearing uncomfortable clothes just isn't worth it anymore. Why settle for stiff, restricting fabric when you could have something that looks sharp and feels as comfy as your favorite sweats? This year, make the switch to Public Rec, where comfort rules. For a limited time, our listeners can get 20% off their entire order with code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. That's 20% off when you use code CHAT20. That's CHAT20 at publicrec.com. Public Rec isn't just about pants. It's about making sure you stay comfortable no matter what your day throws at you. They have had so many great options, and they have so many new styles that you have to check out that are perfect for just hanging around the house, drinking some beers on the golf course, or when you need to dress to impress, when you got the boss or you got a nice little lady on a date or something like that. So Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants you've ever made, but they also have a huge selection of high-quality, everyday premium styles. You can revamp your entire wardrobe with their perfect-fitting polos, shorts, and hoodies. Make your New Year's resolution a comfortable one. No more pants that pitch, tug, or annoy. For a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code CHAT20 at checkout. Just head to publicrec.com and use code CHAT20 and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask how you found them, be sure to mention our show, Saints Now by Chat Sports. It really helps us out. So find your perfect fit and never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules. All that information is in the comments and description. Shout out to Public Rec for sponsoring today's show. Alrighty, so how I see this moving forward for the New Orleans Saints, I told you, just got to stick around to the ad read. A lot of good content coming your way. Joe Brady, I think, is like the sexy, fun, shiny new toy. I think he's like the brand new, young, up-and-coming, like, oh, could be a really, really fun idea. But can he navigate the rebuild? Like that's an honest question. Can he navigate a bad roster? Can he manage a team that has a lot of issues? Can he build a quality football team? Like, those are honest questions. Is he ready to be a head coach? Like, those are very fair questions to ask. But Mike McCarthy, I think he's the safer hire. Doesn't mean that it's the more extremely exciting one. Like, there's no doubt about it. Joe Brady's a boomer bust hire. Mike McCarthy's a safe hire. You know what Mike McCarthy is. You know you're going to win football games. You know you're going to bring a little bit of stability to the ship over the next few seasons. But when it comes down to the Saints head coaching candidates, I don't know if Mike McCarthy's my favorite option. I mean, my favorite right now, probably still Aaron Glenn or Joe Brady. But, I mean, obviously, if Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets, then you're starting to kind of get a little bit more narrowed down on this head coaching candidates. I mean, I don't even know if you could technically consider Cliff Kingsbury a candidate anymore, considering he's not taking interviews until after the Commanders' season is over. Mike McCarthy? Maybe. Mike Kafka? He's got a second interview. Kellen Moore? I don't hate that option, but it feels like he's headed to the Cowboys. I do like the idea of Darren Rizzi. I still think he has a strong case for himself. Anthony Weaver, he also has a second interview. But that brings us right back to Joe Brady and Aaron Glenn. What are we going to do there? Like, what's going to happen? There's a lot that can be very majorly impacted just by the decision that the Jets and Aaron Glenn make today. In second interviews, like I mentioned, Kafka, Weaver, and Glenn, they all have second interviews scheduled with the New Orleans Saints. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I hate the idea of Mike Kafka. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I hate the idea of Anthony Weaver. Like, at the end of the day, like, sure, there are definitely better options and more appealing options out there. But, I don't know if you know this. Mike Kafka, like, just close your eyes. If I say Mike Kafka, you don't know that he's the Giants guy. Like, if you didn't know this, he was actually the play caller in 2022. Not in 2023. Not in 2024. That was Brian Dable. The only playoff win that the Giants have had since 2011 was when Mike Kafka was the play caller. And that was behind Daniel Jones. So that's a bad football team that won against the Vikings, who were also frauds that year. But my point being, maybe we should not completely write off the idea of Mike Kafka. I mean, he was really good with the Kansas City Chiefs as well, and he was a very large part of the development of Patrick Mahomes, and, I mean, we all know what's happened there. So, like, if you can't land Aaron Glenn, just give me an offensive-minded head coach. I don't want to play the game of maybe Anthony Weaver, maybe one of these other guys, maybe Darren Rizzi. Like, I'm just going to be totally transparent. I'd rather have an offensive guy, somebody who can call the play, somebody who can manage the offense. I love Darren Rizzi, and I think that he would be another option, but I'm more in the camp of give me an offensive play caller. And, quick update around the head coaching search. Want to just make sure you guys are informed. Due to the severe weather, the Saints are actually rescheduling this week's round of in-person interviews for the head coaching job. Obviously, there is snow happening in New Orleans right now. It doesn't happen very often, so Pretty wild that that's going on. I hope you guys are all staying safe and warm, by the way. So just wanted to throw that in there. But Mike Kafka, he was supposed to interview today. Aaron Glenn was supposed to interview tomorrow. Anthony Weaver also was supposed to be tomorrow. But those will be postponed due to the weather. Obviously, it's pretty hard to have an in-person interview if you can't land a plane on a runway. Kind of makes things tough. But final thoughts. I'm just going to say this. It's going to be very telling what happens over the next couple of days. And honestly, the next week. 7 days from now, when we're sitting here on Tuesday, January 28th, there could be a lot of big things that have been changed. Like if Mike McCarthy doesn't get hired by the Saints and Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets, like that might tell me they're interested in Joe Brady. But if they go ahead and just pull the trigger and say, we want Mike, to me that says that Mike McCarthy was their guy outside of Aaron Glenn all along, like the whole time. And maybe Joe Brady wasn't ready to the Saints, and at least in their eyes. So we'll have to see. Again, a lot can change over the next week. So keep your eyes peeled on especially Joe Brady and Mike McCarthy. And I'll throw in also, might as well keep your eyes peeled on Kellen Moore and Cliff Kingsbury as well, because those are candidates. They are still alive in the NFC Championship game. So you're going to want to see what they're capable of doing. But also, you don't want to pay attention to who wins and who loses, because then that can be an indicator of who interviews with the Saints next. So we'll have to see what happens. A lot can change. But again, be sure to subscribe. Don't miss out on anything. We're going to be giving you guys a lot of videos, a lot of updates. If Aaron Glenn gets hired today, I'm going to make another video, and I'm going to tell you, all right, here's what we need to do moving forward. So be sure to subscribe. But thank you so much for watching today's show. Like the video if you haven't already. Get down in the comments section. I love hearing what you guys have to say. Who Dat Nation, y'all stay golden. We'll see you later.